We start with a point.
Hi, it's Rob Bryanson, back again at the 10th Dimension video blog with more of our poll questions here. This is poll 34, and the question was, do you believe in God or the multiverse? That poll ended on February 25th, 2009. Interestingly, this poll saw the most participants so far of any of the polls we've had here. It seems people have strong opinions whenever the word God comes up in a question. 13% picked God as their answer, 32% voted for multiverse, 14% for neither, and 39% picked the most popular answer, both. In Polls Archive 27, in which we discussed the question of whether there really is only one electron since they're all completely identical, we talked a bit about recent news items like the following, which suggest we may have to choose between God or the multiverse. Here's the opening two paragraphs of Mark Vernon's article, which appeared in the December 8th, 2008 issue of Guardian.co.uk. Is there a God or a multiverse? Does modern cosmology force us to choose? Is it the case that the apparent fine-tuning of constants and forces to make the universe just right for life means there is either a need for a tuner or else a cosmos in which every possible variation of these constants and forces exists somewhere? This choice has provoked anxious comment in the pages of this week's New Scientist. It follows an article in Discover magazine in which science writer Tim Folger quoted cosmologist Bernard Carr, "If you don't want God, you'd better have a multiverse." Just 10 days ago, the same conversation was brought up again in the New York Times opinion piece called God and the Multiverse. This is a good question, but a complicated one. There's a 45-minute interview on YouTube where Tom Houston, one of the editors of What is Enlightenment magazine, now called Enlighten Next, discusses similar questions with me. In that interview, I explain how I believe that there are selection patterns that created our universe, which, depending upon your point of view, are God, or just naturally occurring patterns that exist within timelessness. And in that sense, I am thinking of a God that fits in with deism. Our universe is so amazing, huge, complex, detailed, unlikely, that even if we don't ascribe consciousness to those selection patterns, they are still something so humbling and intricate that they're worthy of our gratitude and praise. Unlikely events in timelessness, it was called. I also believe that consciousness is connected together in ways we can't directly see from down here in space-time. And that connectedness is something that some people think of as God. So phrases like, "I am an aspect of God," or "God is in me," make sense within that context. Douglas Hofstadter's book, I Am a Strange Loop, and Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor's book, My Stroke of Insight, both tie very easily to that concept as well. Here's 3 videos I'd like you to look at that tie to this discussion. Daily Parrying. I know you, you know me, and you are me, and we are all together. As I say in my entry, Daily Parrying, though, this doesn't really support the idea of a God who you can pray to and he will make the other football team lose and your team win just because that's what you asked him for. I talk about this in my book. The reader may notice here that it would be very easy to substitute God or the Creator in place of the observer in the above paragraphs. In fact, if the reader is comfortable with the concept of each of us being an expression of God, created in his, her image, each with a holy spark within, then the two viewpoints are quite compatible. On the other hand, though, the image of a God who is separate from, standing in judgment of, and meting out punishment to us all is much less compatible. What we are describing here is a reality where each of us is creating an expression of a specific aspect inferred within the white noise of the 10th dimension through our individual roles as quantum observers. If the reader finds it easier to accept the phrase, "I am an aspect of God," than they do the previous sentence, then they should feel free to use that as their jumping off point instead. As we discussed before, the 10th dimension as we're conceptualizing it here is really the boring part of our discussion, because it simultaneously contains all possibilities. If we choose to imagine a creator God who is manifesting himself, herself, through each one of us, We're imagining an observer who is cutting cross-sections out of the 10th dimension to examine the much more interesting and highly detailed subsets of reality, which are contained within the dimensions below. Another video to look at is God 2.0 as part of that discussion. With this project, I've been trying to show people that there are ways of aligning a spiritual viewpoint with the traditionally atheistic scientific viewpoint. If I say I believe in God, that immediately creates an image in someone else's mind which may be completely different from what I'm trying to convey. So I tend not to want to say things as simply as that. To finish, here's a song that says, whether you believe we come from God or the multiverse, there's still something amazing, complex, and wonderful about the universe in which we live. And the song is called Thankful. That's all for this time around. Next time we're going to look at poll 35. And the question was, do we come from a 5D hologram? This is Rob Bryanton. Enjoy the journey.